If you're a fan of Karens going crazy in movie theaters, then this episode of r/Entitled Parents is perfect for you. I have to leave my shift to buy another chair for this entitled mum's overweight son. So I was working a regular shift at the movie theater I work at. Nothing to do as the movies had already started and there weren't a lot of people. So I was mainly just eating some leftover popcorn and telling jokes to my co-workers. When an entitled mum comes up to me. Now I'm normally not the type of person that fat shames, but this lady was fat. And I mean absolutely massive, like literally fatter than she's tall. And her son was also obese, if not morbidly obese. I'm not going to tell them how to live their lives, but just so you know. So the entitled mum comes up to me and is absolutely furious. She begins shouting before I could even greet her. Her kid was looking physically and mentally angry. "I have a complaint," she said. "What seems to be the issue, Mom?" "I bought these seats, but they're too small." "Can I ask what you mean by too small, miss?" "We can't even sit normally in these freaking chairs. They're too small, so get us new ones." Now, I could already tell that these people weren't going to fit in the seats. But the point is, we're a pretty small movie theater, and we only have one type of seat. "I can give you another spot in the theater, but these are the only seats we have, Mom. I'm unable to give you a bigger seat because we only have one type of..." "Then buy one." Excuse me?" The entitled mum points at the furniture shop across the road and straight up says, "Well, you're in charge of giving us what we want, right? So get us a better seat." "Mom, I can't just leave my duty to buy a chair for you to sit on. Also, I don't know the rules, but I'm pretty sure you just can't bring your own furniture into the movie theater. So you expect us to sit in those tiny seats that you gave us? I thought you mother effers would do anything for your guests." At this point, she's starting to get physically aggressive, and her son is nowhere to be seen. "I can give you tickets to another movie if the experience isn't enjoyable for you, but I can't just buy you an entire new chair for you to sit in, Mom. Would you like to switch your tickets to another movie?" "No, I'll watch this one, but just note that this isn't the last time you guys hear from me." So she waddles away, and I just think to myself, it's not my problem you can't fit in the seats, so don't make it my problem. After she walks away, she goes and grabs her son, and she has the brains to buy 4 large popcorns for her and her kid and go into the theater again. But this story isn't finished, because when the movie was done, she walked out of the theater and I walked up to the seats with a broom to clean up. And this female dog dumped 2 of the 4 large popcorn boxes that she bought all over the floor, and her and her son probably ate the other 2 like the buttholes they are. And after all of this, she has the guts to email my boss and complain about me for not only saying she's fat, but not giving her another seat, being rude, and saying the theater was a mess because there was popcorn all over the place. This woman is officially my arch nemesis now. You see, before this Karen went crazy and started dumping popcorn and complaining for no real reason, I was kind of on her side in a tiny way, as in I find situations like this pretty tough. Just because she's overweight doesn't mean that she shouldn't be able to go and watch a movie in a movie theater. So yeah, there should be some sort of accommodation for her and her kid. But given that there's nothing that the employees can do about it in just a few minutes. They certainly can't go and buy a chair for you. That's ridiculous. And then as soon as you turn into an entitled witch just doing unnecessary things, then yeah, everyone's gonna hate you. Alright then, next up we have another story about a Karen in a movie theater. Entitled mother doesn't understand movie theater rules and snitches on herself. I work at a movie theater. I believe this is a pretty standard rule for theaters, but when you buy a ticket for a movie, you can't go and watch another one afterwards. The price you pay is for the one movie and not a general entrance fee. My coworker and I were cleaning halls on a pretty average morning and see 2 mothers and their gaggle of children waiting in front of an entrance that leads to 2 different halls. One of the 2 was about to end, so we asked one of the mothers which movie they're going to watch. The conversation goes, roughly translated, as follows. "Excuse me, which movie are you all going to watch?" "This one. Do you know what time it starts?" "No, but I can tell you what time it starts if you show me your tickets." The time is written on the tickets. "Oh no, our tickets were for the Minions movie. We're going to watch this one while we wait for Avatar to start at 4. Mom, you can't do that." "Of course I can. I do it all the time." "Woman, did you just tattle on yourself?" No, you either have to buy another ticket or leave." "Oh, you must be new. This must be a new rule. Get me someone who actually knows the rules." I then proceed to say that I've been working here long enough, and this rule has been standard forever. 3 of my co-workers do the same, and she insists that we're all new and don't know the rules. Get a manager, blah, blah, blah. Luckily, this entire place is staffed by people in their teens and mid-20s, so nobody feels like taking any entitled BS. My manager gives the same spiel we gave the lady minutes ago, and she sticks with her story. There's no way she's wrong. This is a new rule. I'm gonna call the owner. I'd already tuned her out. My manager then asked them to leave and for me to walk with them to make sure they actually do. This woman, in the world's most obnoxious tone, goes, "Don't worry, miss. We're leaving." "I'm not a miss," I reply. "Miss, mom, whatever." Informing her that I'm a guy annoyed her even more. Bye-bye, you female dog. Honestly, guys, I'm not even just saying this to make myself look good. But surely, nobody in their right mind would go, okay, I've paid for one movie, watched all of that, now I'm going to sneak into another movie after that. Like, surely in your conscience, you'd be like, well, I'm just thieving here. I haven't paid for this movie that I'm watching. Does that not make you feel bad and guilty? It would make me feel like that. And on top of this, why is she so dumb to admit that she's about to watch another movie as well? Like, if you're gonna do it, at least know that you're in the wrong and be sneaky about it. Don't think it's genuinely a rule that you buy one ticket, then you can watch any movie you want ever. So what? If you stay in there forever and you never leave, you can just watch every movie ever for the future of time ever? Wow, sounds like a pretty good deal. Entitled mother yells at school nurses for calling her when her son's insulin drops dangerously low. This is the only place I can think to post what I just witnessed. This only happened about 2 hours ago and I can't stop thinking about it. I'm a high school student, senior year, and I'm not the most careful person with what I eat, so I ended up getting food poisoning from eating leftover chicken that was sat on the counter all night that I just threw in the microwave. I didn't feel anything until I was in the middle of first period class. I thought it was my regular stomach pain, so I tried to just muster through it until I felt nauseous and like I was going to diarrhea. So I ended up going to the school clinic. When I entered, I noticed there were people in EMT uniforms surrounding a guy hunched over on a chair. I overheard them saying he was confused and not very responsive. I wasn't sure what was going on. I spoke to one of the nurses about my strong feeling of nausea and they called my mum to come and pick me up. So I was just waiting there in the clinic with a trash can in front of me. I heard one of the school nurses tell the EMT people that the guy is diabetic and didn't have his insulin checker. I can't remember the exact term, just know it was something like that, with him, and how he couldn't answer simple questions like, what is your name or where are you? I know a little bit about what they were checking because of the YouTube channel Chubby Emu, so I knew that was a horrible sign. They'd called his mum before I came in, so now they were just waiting. That's when I saw a very angry woman, the entitled mother, walking towards the clinic. When she entered, I could feel the air change. Her mere presence felt disturbing and slimy. She began to berate the school nurse for calling her because she works late and sleeps during the day. She said her son constantly forgets to bring his insulin checker and snacks and said it wasn't her fault. That's a phrase she repeated a lot during her rants. "It's not my fault." She said that he was 15 and had to take responsibility for his own medicine. Meanwhile, the guy was silently sitting there drinking juice. She said she wouldn't be coming when they call anymore. That's when I got a text from my mum saying she was there. So I quietly got up, trying not to vomit or draw the attention of this crazy Karen. My mum took me home where I automatically ran to the bathroom. I've got no experience with having diabetes, but the way that mother acted felt very wrong and uncomfortable. Well, I also don't have too much experience with diabetes, but what I can tell you is that editor Steve, who is editing this video right now, has diabetes, my granddad has diabetes, and also my old football coach, who took one game with me at school, had a diabetic episode whilst we were playing. Now what happened was he was doing the halftime team talk, trying to get us ready for the second half, and then he just kept repeating the same thing over and over again. It was like, "Go and get them, boys," or something like that, but he said it 10 times. Now none of us knew what was going on. We were like, "Why'd you keep saying this, sir, mate? Like, you've said it already. We know we've got to go and win the game." Turns out he was low on insulin. I mean, all chat aside, it was actually it wasn't scary, but it was just like concerning because we were like, oh, what is going on with this guy? And then, you know, he was okay, just got some sugary drinks in him and some sweets and he was all right. But you've still got to look after him during that period of time. Don't just say, oh, it's his fault for forgetting to top up. Like, yeah, well, I mean, maybe, but you still got to help him out in that situation, right? And this kid is 15. Yes, maybe it's his fault, but also maybe nobody cares and didn't ask. Like, come on, just help him. He's your son. My mother ruined my 21st birthday. It's been 5 years since this happened, but I was thinking about the situation and decided to share. Way back in 2017, I, a woman, was turning 21, and my mum, who was 39 at the time, begrudgingly decided to come and visit me interstate at university. Now, I'm on the autism spectrum and have severe anxiety and major depressive disorder. I take medication and it helps a lot, but I've gained a lot of weight on these pills, and back then, I just started to get heavier. My mum steps off her flight and gives me a hug, and then makes a comment about how heavy I look in my winter coats. So we were off to a great start. She'd thrown a fit the day earlier because I took my grandparents who arrived a day earlier to see my dorm room, and she has the right to see it first. The next day, we were going out for a family dinner, my mum, myself, and grandparents. And mum threw a fit when I invited my boyfriend because I should get to see you without him. Note, I spent all day at the markets, just me and her. After the meal, she told me my boyfriend was fat and needed to learn some manners after he ate a piece of my pizza crust that I offered him since I don't eat the crust. Okay, makes sense. The next day, she commented on my double chin. Like, seriously, lady, I weighed 70 kg at the time. She also commented that my feet smelled after I took my shoes off after walking with her around the city for 5 hours and called my sister telling her I was unhygienic. That night, we went out to dinner with my friends to celebrate my birthday. My grandfather offered to pay the bill for all my friends, and I later found out that my mother decided he couldn't do that and paid herself. She then went insane at me for having cheap and low friends to scam her for a meal. She then cancelled all the rest of our activities because she couldn't afford them. The next night was the night before my actual birthday, and I invited my boyfriend over for dinner again as I just wanted him to get along with my mum. After he left, she ripped into me, saying, "It's my birthday too, since I raised you as a single mother, and that he was not welcome." She told me that if she knew I would get fat, lazy, and rude at uni, she would never have let me go, and has a mind to drag me on a flight home. I burst into tears and cried myself to sleep. On my birthday, she made comments about me using her for cash and about how much Chinese food I ate for dinner. She then finally got on a flight on the last day and went home. Yeah, not too much I can say about this one, other than your mother is a truly disgusting person. Like, what more am I supposed to say? Let's get into the final story of this episode. My grandmother tried to steal my apartment and make me go back to my parents so she could punish me. I'm 29 and I've been dealing with this for some time, but recently this became ridiculous. My grandmother is the most special person I ever know, and by special, I mean one of the most frustrating, entitled, narcissistic, condescending female dogs on earth. She believes that she is the matriarch of the family, the highest authority that we all must obey, and for that, she's done a lot of things to all the family over the years, and recently, I became her main objective. A couple of months ago, she organised a family meeting at her house. Now, believing it was just a family meal, we all went, and when everyone was there, she revealed her true intentions. It was a trap. Apparently, someone told my grandmother that I was dating a girl, my girlfriend, and basically she exposed me to all the family. In that moment, I hadn't even told my parents yet. The following 30 minutes were a non-stop humiliation in front of all my family, saying how much of a failure I was, a shame to the family, a sinner, and how embarrassed she was that all her church's friends knew I was a shameless pervert. When I couldn't take her trash anymore, I got up from my chair just to be slapped in the face by her for disrespecting her. After seeing that, the rest of the family finally intervened, getting her off me before she tried to pull my hair. The following weeks, she was nothing more than a constant headache. Endless calls and text messages telling me such beautiful things such as I will burn for my sins, that I was a disgrace, that I should stop fooling around and correct my life. She even lectured my parents, demanding that they correct me to make me quit my job and find a husband, because that was the right thing to do and what she should be doing. Also, she took every chance she got to say how evil and selfish I was for ruining her good image. Last Saturday, she outed herself. While I was in my apartment, there was a knock on the door, and when I opened it, I saw that it was her. By that point, I was no longer trying to hide my displeasure from her, and I just said, "Ah, it's you. What do you want?" Without being invited to come in, she went into my house, began to look around the place with an obvious gesture of disgust and disapproval on her face, and then turned to see me with that look of superiority, as if she would do me a favor by just being there. She told me that she'd already given me more than enough time to reconsider and correct my life, so she was there so that I could apologize to her. I just laughed sarcastically and told her that she was crazy and that she could go now. She then started lecturing me with the same speech again, but I didn't take it. I interrupted her and let out all the things that I've wanted to tell her for a long time. That she was a stupid old witch, that she was not an authority figure to anyone, that her presence alone ruins our day, that nobody can stand her, that she is such a horrible and suffocating grandmother and mother, and that it's not strange that none of her children love her or visit her unless she forces them to. I knew I'd hurt her by the way she tensed her face and how she tried to hide the tears in her eyes. It was then that she said, "Enough! I can see that you don't understand the good way, so I'll have to correct you in the old way. Give me the keys to this place. You will return to your parents and you'll be grounded until you learn to obey and do what I ordered." I still had the keys in my hand from when I opened the door, to which she extended hers as if waiting for me to give them to her. I laughed I laughed out loud. This was too ridiculous that I couldn't take it seriously. And apparently, that made her so mad that she lunged at me, trying to grab my keys. We struggled. There were screams, things falling out of place. The dang witch got to the point of digging her nails into my arms and biting my hands. The scandal was such that a couple of neighbors went out to see what was going on. And when my grandmother saw them, she started shouting that I was a thief and that I was trying to rob her house. Obviously, they didn't believe her. They were my neighbors. They knew me. They separated her from me, and when she saw that they didn't believe her and I wouldn't obey her, she threatened me with, "Your parents will know about this," and left. Since then, she's been telling everyone how I insulted her and violently attacked her. We all know her. We all know she's a liar. She just makes everyone's lives harder. Genuinely, it wouldn't shock me if the grandmother in this story was the same mother as the one in the previous. I mean, come on. These guys are just disgraceful. Can you imagine? What are the chances of a mum and her daughter posting two separate stories on r/EntitledParents about their entitled mum and their entitled grandmother who are actually the same person? Wouldn't that just be brilliant? And I actually think it could happen. But also, like, she slapped you at the age of 29. What are you waiting for? Go no contact, never see her again. A crazy, crazy lady. I don't know why I'm still surprised.